Okay, everybody gonna have to hold on a minute. Y'all know what this thing is like, very fickle, like Wheel of Fortune. Fat C.
Faced with an emergency, 24/7, 360.
Fat C Jack.
Faces you.
Venoplite.
Style is the new home for the biggest names in combat sports. Now Dallas becomes the center of the wrestling world. Olympians, world champion, MMA superstars, all on one stage.
Oh, baby, are you ready?
No cage, no script, just the best athletes in the world going all in. RAF9, May 30th, live from College Park Center. Tickets on sale now. Or watch live at Fox Nation.
Turning concern into action. Austin's Joelle McNew brought students, parents, first responders, and local leaders together to create real change. Through her leadership with Safe Horns, student safety around the University of Texas has measurably improved. From better lighting to emergency call boxes and stronger community trust. We're proud to recognize Joelle McNew, a remarkable woman whose collaboration and innovation are making a difference with public safety. Prevagen is honored to sponsor the Remarkable Women Public Safety Award, celebrating women who help protect and strengthen our communities.
Members of the victim of a fatal crash in 2024.
And an event is being held in July to help raise funds for a local 10-year-old boy who's having unexplained seizures. That's all ahead on KFDX 3 News at 6, starting right now.
From your local news authority, local, in-depth, community. You're watching KFDX 3 News at 6.
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Aaron Gonders.
And I'm Carney Porter. One person is dead following a single motorcycle crash yesterday in Young County.
It happened just after 4 along FM 210 near mile marker 238. That's where a Harley-Davidson motorcycle driven by 53-year-old Kevin Ray Marsh of Olney was fatally injured.
DPS Lieutenant Johnny Burris says Marsh was heading northwest at an unsafe speed into a right curve. As Marsh was making the curve, Lieutenant Burris says the speed carried the motorcycle to the other side of the road and into the west side ditch, where Marsh lost control and crashed.
He was transported to Olney Hamilton Hospital, where he was later pronounced dead from his injuries. Authorities say Marsh was not wearing a helmet.
Based on last night's election results, the Republican nominee for Wichita County Judge has been chosen for the general election in the fall.
The race was between candidates Mark Dora and Rick Hatcher. The unofficial results show Dora will be advancing to the November election. Dora won the runoff by 55% of the vote, equating to more than 3,500 votes, while Rick Hatcher had nearly 2,900 votes.
Without any Democratic opponent on the ballot, Dora looks to be running unopposed for county judge in November, and he's already sharing his plans for when he gets into office.
You know, I really want to focus on getting to know the commissioners well, the other elected officials, the employees. I want to build a team and have a unified approach so that we can get things moving in the right direction. Look at this budget, look at the tax rate, and see what we can do to help the citizens of Wichita County.
We also spoke with Rick Hatcher about the results, who had this to say about Dora's win.
You know, congratulate him and wish him the best, and hope everything goes well for him.
You can learn more about Dora's campaign and what he wants to do for Wichita County over on TexomasHomepage.com, your local election headquarters.
And down in Young County, the runoff for county judge there was between incumbent Wynn Graham and former judge John Bullock. Bullock won with 57% of the votes and will now advance to the general election in November.
And for the race for Young County Commissioner, Precinct 4, it was between Cooper Dodd and Bobby Swetnam. Bobby Swetnam wins out the night with 53% of the votes.
And in January, Texas will have a new U.S. Senator as Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton defeated four-term incumbent John Cornyn in yesterday's Republican runoff.
It sets up a race between Paxton and Democratic State Representative James Tallarico.
Now, as Republicans haven't lost a statewide election since 1994, but Democrats think this is the year to break that streak. Tallarico is jumping on Paxton's corruption allegations, releasing a digital ad highlighting Paxton's impeachment while Paxton has been shopping around nicknames for Tallarico.
Some people call him six-gender Jimmy. I've even heard some people call him James Tallarico.
Well, I'll be the first to admit that I've missed the mark on some of those old comments. But what Ken Paxton is doing is clipping my cringy comments to distract from his career of corruption.
Tallarico is kicking off the general election campaign with a People versus Ken Paxton tour starting tonight in Houston.
And back here at home, a Wichita Falls woman is dead following an out-of-state officer-involved shooting on Memorial Day. And a major development in a lawsuit filed against a beloved downtown Wichita Falls establishment.
Those are just some of the stories our newsroom is currently following. Josh Hoggard's following these and several other stories with ties to Texoma's courts, and he's joining us now with more. Josh?
Yeah, guys, there's plenty to get to today. First, we got a few updates from appellate courts involving Wichita County cases. 79-year-old David Lee Harrison was found guilty of half a dozen second-degree felony child sex crimes back in February, with the jury sentencing him to 98 years in prison. Now, on Thursday, May 14th, his appellate attorney submitted its brief alleging that testimony presented during his trial violated Rule 403 and was more prejudicial than probative. That case is pending in Amarillo's 7th Court of Appeals. Also in the 7th Court of Appeals, the case of Catherine Jarvie, convicted of injury to a child and sentenced to 65 years in prison after her 6-year-old child was found weighing just 15 pounds. Now, earlier this month, the appellate attorney for Jarvie filed her brief with Amarillo's 7th Court of Appeals, alleging the evidence presented during trial was insufficient, particularly as to the elements of culpability, causation, and result. Now, moving well outside of Texoma, just outside of Tucson, Arizona, after a Wichita Falls woman died on Memorial Day following a trooper-involved shooting. Officials with the Arizona Department of Public Safety say it happened just after 8 a.m. on Monday on westbound Interstate 10 near Benson on the outskirts of Tucson. They say the incident began as a traffic stop but ended in a fatal shooting. The woman fatally shot has been identified as 39-year-old Berkeley Bond of Wichita Falls. Arizona DPS says no state troopers were injured, and more information will be released as details are confirmed and available to share. Further information is unavailable at this time, so stick with us for the latest on air and online as we work to learn more about this developing story. Now finally, P2, a staple of downtown Wichita Falls, has been the subject of a fatal drunk driving lawsuit. But according to court documents, they may now be off the hook. Back in March 2024, 39-year-old Edgar Alarcon died following a wreck on Cal West and Holiday Street. Police say Alarcon's pickup was struck by a truck driven by Dakota Phillips, who since pleaded guilty to intoxicated manslaughter stemming from that crash. Alarcon's family named P2, the warehouse, and Phillips in a lawsuit seeking over $1 million in damages, claiming Phillips, who was underage, spent the night drinking at the warehouse before he drove, leading to the fatal crash. But a search of court documents revealed that on Friday, May 22nd, a motion was granted on behalf of P2 in the warehouse, dismissing them from the lawsuit. According to P2's motion, Phillips couldn't identify anyone who served him. He'd been drinking liquor instead from a flask that he brought, and witnesses claimed they never saw any employees give him a drink. Further, one witness said in a deposition she actually drove Phillips home from P2. He then left his house before the fatal crash, not P2, as previously believed. Now, last check, Phillips is still listed as a defendant in that lawsuit. We'll keep our eyes on it as it continues to develop as well. Now, there's new developments coming into our newsroom constantly. So as always, if you want to keep up with all of the latest in local civil, criminal, federal, and appeal cases out of Texoma, make sure you're following us on air and online at texomashomepage.com.
Giving us information from all over the area, Texas and beyond. All right, thanks so much, Josh, for all of those updates.
All right, let's go ahead now and check in with Chief Meteorologist Michael Bowling for a look outside. And Michael, I know you asked everyone at home, and it looks like a lot of people answered the call to send in those rain gauge pictures.
Yeah, and once again, too many answered the call here, so I'm going to have to show some more in the second half of the 6 o'clock newscast. But here's a look at some of the ones that I've gotten so far. Here's it's going to be a little under a half inch of rain there, about a 4/10 of an inch there. This is going to be from Gary at Kemp and Kell here in Wichita Falls. Thank you for sending that in. Here's another one in the Wichita Falls area, Faith Village. A little bit lower totals there on this one from Larry, so thank you for sending that one in. And then we get a little bit higher totals now. We're starting to look over 2 inches, about 2.4 inches there from Nolan and Iowa Park. Thank you for sending this one in. And here's another pretty good rainfall total, close to 1.5 inches here from Ken in Iowa Park. And then we got another good rain gauge here, up over 2 inches from Heidi in Iowa Park. What I've seen so far today is Iowa Park was probably the big winners as far as rainfall totals yesterday. It seems like we're getting the highest totals out of Iowa Park here. And then here's another one that's getting up around 2 inches. This is from Lisa and Robert. Now this is going to be about 5 miles west of Seymour on Highway 82. So thank you all for sending these in. And like I said, I got some more that I'm going to be showing in the second half of the 6. So satellite radar across the area, we see the showers pushing across southeastern portions of Oklahoma up into central Oklahoma. But what we're watching is what we see on the backside of this low coming in here. And that's the next little batch of precipitation. We'll watch to see how far to the south it stretches, but that will move in here as we go into the late evening hours and into tonight. As we look at the weather headlines aren't going to work. So we're going to talk more about the weather, though, coming up here in a few minutes, guys.
All right. Sounds good, Michael. Thanks so much. We are waiting with bated breath.
Bated breath. Well, a few weeks ago, we brought you a story about a 10-year-old Iowa Park boy who's been suffering from several seizures on a daily basis with no explanation behind it.
The family's been traveling to and from Fort Worth to visit Cook Children's Hospital to try to figure out what exactly is wrong with Josie Kyle.
Curtis Jackson sat down with his mother today. And Curtis, with no answers yet, that probably means more testing is to come.
Yeah, that's right. And with more testing means more traveling and more bills. Now, Alicia Kyle says although they're getting closer to having answers, the road they're on now looks like it's going to be long and very expensive. With gas prices sitting at roughly $4 a gallon, imagine having to drive 2 hours to see a doctor, then driving 2 hours back and missing work, and having to do it over and over and over again. That's what mother of 10-year-old Josie Kyle, Alicia Kyle, has been dealing with ever since he started having seizures back in November of last year. And so far, doctors can't seem to figure out what's causing it. But they are gaining ground when it comes to getting answers.
His last EEG report has still shown some activity, so that's kind of where we are now. We don't really have an answer as to why this is happening still. We did run some pretty extensive tests. He did a lumbar puncture. He's done, of course, the EEG. We did genetic testing. They tested for mitochondrial disease. They tested for an autoimmune disorder that he came back negative for, which is wonderful, but it still leaves us wondering.
Something no child should have to go through.
He is a 10-year-old rowdy boy, and his one true love is baseball, and we've had to pull him from just about everything. You know, he would run around with his brother with the neighborhood kids, and I can't really let him too far out of my sight right now, and so it's taken a pretty emotional toll on all of us.
As well as a financial toll. And recently, the Texoma community has come through big for the Kyles.
I can't say enough great things about Iowa Park, the community, Ken's Pizza, the Iowa Park Youth Baseball Association, the Bradford Elementary, his teachers. They have all been a blessing to us. That boy's definitely loved in that community. They held fundraisers and benefits, and they just really came together for him and showed just how much they care and genuinely care.
And there are still ways you can help this family by attending a benefit for Josie Kyle happening in July, with plenty of opportunities of walking away with some great items and a great feeling knowing you helped out a neighbor in need. Now, for more information on the benefit for Josie and everything you can expect when attending, or if you'd like to make a direct donation to the family, or even if you have an item that can be a part of the silent auction on the day of the event, I'll have all that information for you inside this story over on TexomasHomepage.com.
Hopefully they start getting some answers really quickly. I'm sure the whole family would appreciate it. All right. Thanks so much, Curtis, for that story.
All right, everyone, switching gears now. It's time to grab your phone and get ready to vote in tonight's question.
All right, so today is National Grape Day. So if you're a fan of that flavor, we want to know, what is your favorite grape item? Are you more of a fan of simply just the fruit, or do you like popsicles, gum, or candy?
All you have to do to vote is scan the QR code right there on your screen, or you can head on over to our Facebook page and click the link on this post. And if you're like me and maybe you're thinking of some other items that are great and have great flavor,
a lot of options out there.
Yeah, throw them in our Facebook post comment section, and maybe we'll read some at the end of the newscast.
The leader in flip phones tries its hand at a foldable.
Coming up in tonight's Rich on Tech, Rich DeMiro has his review of the Moto Razr Fold.
And a little later, President Trump says he's holding out on Iran's peace offer to ensure Iran never develops a nuclear weapon.
When emergencies happen, you want help now. You want ER now.